You've got all these ideas, but are you taking action towards them? And today I will help you with that. I get downloads from the universe in order to help you move in the directions that are for your greatest good and that reconnects you with your passions and purpose in this world. Now, don't worry, we're going to be zooming into this further, but your action planner has these overall steps just so you can see the steps before we zoom in. What have you been meaning to do but have struggled to take action on? What's been stopping you from taking action? What amount of time can you devote to this per day or week? Be honest, what amount of time can you cope with giving to this per day or per week? Now you need to halve that time and put that in the duration there, and then what times you're going to be doing it and what days you'll be doing it. And then how can you reduce friction, install deadlines, or include pleasure so you will actually take action? That's here. And then how can you reward yourself after you've taken the action? So we're going to zoom in now and we're going to go through an example that I've got here. Here's the first one. So what have you been meaning to do but you've struggled to take action on? For me, I'd like to do some filming of my art that I install around town to get a bit of a following and to get some enthusiasm towards changing your own town in a country town. What has been stopping me from taking action? I've been scared of rejection or no one will watch what I do. And what amount of time can you devote to this per day or week? So each time I work on my art, the more the problem for me is editing 4 hours a week is what I reckon that I could do. And so we're going to scroll along. So be honest, what amount of time can I actually cope with? Well, if I'm truthful with myself and my nervous system and what I can actually cope with, given that I'm a high school principal and I'm busy, I could probably manage to do 2 hours a week. And that's what my example is there. Now the question is for you, be honest with yourself, how much time can you actually practically cope with? And that's what you write there for each of your actions of what you're putting off. What can you actually cope with? Now the next section, and this is part of the download that I was given from the universe. Now the whole idea is to actually practically get started. So the whole idea is now halve the time. Before I said that I could do 2 hours, but now you actually want to practically get started, and the way to do that is to halve that time. So here I'm only going to take action for 1 hour. When am I going to do it? What time of day? I can do it after dinner. And then what days of the week? So for me in this instance, I'm going to put daily. I can do that daily if I've filmed a video. The next one is how can you reduce friction, install a deadline, or include pleasure to actually take action. This step, if you don't actually reduce the friction points, they say in the Atomic Habits book that I'm referring to openly, it's such a good book, but in there, if you go to do something and it takes you longer than 2 minutes to get ready to go and do it, you're unlikely to do it. That's too much friction. So the question is, what can you do to add pleasure or reduce friction or to motivate yourself to give yourself a deadline? If you know that you're moving out of a house and there's a deadline by which you've got to get out of that house, well, there's your deadline. You have no choice but to take action. So my example is that I can film footage on those times and I can do editing the same night after dinner and keep adding it into the same video. So that's for my art channel. And then how could you reward yourself after taking action? Well, I could watch something guilt-free, and I can even have the blow-up mattress there so I can watch it guilt-free. So if you're honest with yourself, what is it that you've actually been meaning to do? There's probably a whole bunch of things actually. You've probably got 5 of them in your head right now. I would suggest you get a piece of paper. You can download this as I've said, but you can either get a piece of paper and just jot them down now, because then they're out of your head. Once they're not rolling around in your head anymore, there's more chance that you could actually take action on them. So number 1 is, what have you been meaning to do but have struggled to actually practically take action on? You could have 20 things. Write the 20 things down and make sure there's enough room next to them to ask yourself and actually answer the next question. What has been actually stopping you from taking action? Is it fear? Are you just plain old scared to get that out there because everyone will judge you? Are you just frightened of doing something different and your body can't cope with it? Is it that you practically do not have time and you have to wait until the weekends and then you're exhausted? Is it because you've got limiting beliefs that you really need to get over? What is it? What is actually standing in the way of you practically actually taking the steps? And write that down next to each of the actions that you've been avoiding. So next to each, what amount of time can you practically actually devote to them per day or per week? It might be 5 minutes, 1 day a week, and that's okay. It could be 10 minutes every second day. Whatever it is, be honest with yourself and write down what amount of time could you actually practically devote to it. Next column is actually, if you're honest with yourself, it's one thing to know that you could devote 5 hours to something, but if you truly deeply think about it and you're deeply honest in yourself, and this is the soul part of what comes in, if you ask yourself honestly, how long can I actually cope doing this thing, whatever the action is? If you know that you have to renovate that room and you have to paint it, but you know you have to do the surfaces first and make sure that you've patched everything and sanded it all back, and you know that you can only cope with doing that for half an hour at a time, then write half an hour at a time. You haven't done it for the last 6 months, so you might as well just write the truth. And if the truth is you can only do it for half an hour at a time, well then if you knew that you only had half an hour, there's a good chance you might actually go and get the stuff to patch the holes in the wall so that you can at least fill in the gaps and do that for half an hour and then walk away and you don't touch it until the next week. At least you've done that, right? So therefore that question is, how long can you practically actually cope with doing that task for? Now, whatever your answer is, the next column is you are now going to halve that. So if you knew that you could actually cope for 30 minutes to go and patch the walls, then you actually have to halve it and only allow yourself to do 15 minutes is what you're planning. We're only planning here. We're not taking any action yet. We're just planning. So halve it. Whatever your answer to the coping thing is, then just simply halve it. Then all you need to decide is what day you can do it and what time. And then plan around that. So that is the base of your plan that is there. Then we go into the next point is how can you reduce friction? So for example, let's use that example again. If you know that you have to patch the walls in the other room, then you just make sure that you've got all the gear sitting on the floor outside the door ready to go. That is removing a friction point because it's there. If you know you have to pull things away from the walls or sugar soap first, then you can start by, at least to reduce the friction, is pull one item away from the wall so it's sitting there ready so you have access to the wall. The question is for each one, how can you reduce friction points so that there's less challenge to you actually going to do the thing? The next thing is, or how can you put in a deadline? So if you know that you've got people coming over and they're going to stay in that room, how can you put in a deadline? So those people are going to be coming over in 2 weeks. So you know you have to have the whole thing patched, sanded, undercoated and painted and everything back in place in 2 weeks. Well, then you've got a deadline and that forces your hand to actually have to do it. Now, if deadlines don't work for you, sometimes they don't work for me either. I have to attach pleasure to it, and the art that I do are gigantic sculptures. Like, they are massive. They cost me a fortune to make, but I donate them to the town because in my mind, the more tourists that come here, then there's more money being expended when drought might hit in this town, and therefore there's a chance that there might be other income in the town other than just rain falling from the sky. That's my thinking anyhow. Call me crazy. And I must tell you, every single time, and I'm not joking, every time I actually go to do any work on them, I am terrified. Like, I'm scared I'm gonna stuff it up. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just get in and do it. And the only way that I can make myself go and do the next step is if I time limit to I'm only going to go out there for 20 minutes and have a go at the next thing, and I'm going to have my music on that I really like for 20 minutes, then I actually go and do it because I need the pleasure of the music so that I'm at least got that loveliness in my ears because I never get to listen to my music. I'm a high school principal and I'm busy all the time. So if I can dissolve into the gorgeousness of my music and then know that I'm time limited to only 20 minutes, then I can actually make myself go out there. And because that is how I did it, I ended up producing this, and I ended up producing this, and I've got plenty more to go. That's my plan anyhow. So the question you ask yourself is, how can you add pleasure to taking that action? But stop and think about it. Is there a way that you can add pleasure to the activity so that you can actually do it? Is it helpful if you were to actually go and work on that room with a friend or a family member that come and join you, and you can do some bonding and chatting in the meantime? Give yourself something to look forward to after. So how can you reward yourself after you've done that? Can you go out for dinner? Can you take yourself to a movie? What is it that you can actually do in order to reward yourself after? It may just be having a whole guilt-free afternoon where you just get to binge watch Netflix. This is the download that I got for you recently, and it is all about how you can take action towards the goals that you have. Now, on that, these aren't just goals though, let's face it. They are directions that you're feeling pulled in. They are areas that you know that you need to go. And part of the reason why you know that though, and a lot of people don't sort of stop to think about this, you feel pulled in that direction for a reason, because it's possibly part of your soul's contract. It's part of your purpose for being here. It's part of the reason why you have the passions. It's part of the reason why you have the skills. You might feel that you're lacking in the skills, but you will develop the skills as you go when you're taking action. So many people have anxiety, and this is actually a story that is so true. This actually happened. I went out to dinner one night with a group of colleagues, and I realized at a point in the night they were all talking about anxiety. And I realized the person to the left of me, the person to the right of me, and I had 3 people in front of me. So I had 5 people around me that were all taking anti-anxiety medication, all of them. But you know what? When I was sitting there and I was buff at the time because I used to go in bodybuilding competitions, and I was used to working full days, and I mean workaholic days at work, going to the gym, getting up really early in the morning, training really hard, so I was stripping the body fat. I did that for a year. Yes, I did pass out at work. It wasn't good for me, but I had been doing hard things as well as being a high school principal all day, every day. And it was a hard slog. I was used to doing hard things. And because I was doing those hard things, I didn't have anxiety because I was always doing the hard things. I wasn't stopping and thinking about it. I wasn't thumb twiddling. I was working on my goals, and I was always achieving that. But I've always been like that in my life, working on the goals that I want to head towards. Whether they fail or not, doesn't matter. I'm always doing it because I am working on the hard things, and I'm taking the steps and doing the actions. And maybe you need to hear this because perhaps that's you or someone that you know that is always struggling with anxiety. You're only anxious because you don't know what's on the other end of you actually doing the thing. But if you do the thing, you figure out that you can cope no matter what happens, and either way it's going to work out better for you because you've taken action on the thing. So what is your thing that you need to take action on? Here's my question. Now, as I said, that whole template is in the link below. You can go straight to that now and use it straight away. But why not comment below and comment about what action you know you've been putting off and you haven't really, if you're honest with yourself, been taking action on. Please put that in the comments. I'd really like to see the sorts of things that you're stuck on and what the challenges are that you're experiencing there. If you feel this could help anyone else, please pass it on. On here, I will never ask you to like or subscribe, and I will never plug anything that I haven't downloaded from the universe directly for you to use, which is why I have the free links there. So good luck taking actual action towards the areas of your life that you kind of know that you need to head in, because all of the spirit guides and people on the other side have guided me to give you this so that you actually have a method and a template to use moving forward in those areas that you've been, let's face it, putting off. Good luck.